Hey guys, welcome to another Critique the Community. As you can see, we are currently here in Puerto Rico. We've actually just moved here. We'll update you guys with more information on that in a little bit. I'm excited about this critique because we're gonna be critiquing unedited photos. We've never done anything like that before.
Oh boy.
But before we get into it, if you'd like to be a part of the next critique, tell them what the genre is.
We'll make it up on the spot. It feels like summer here, but in the Northern Hemisphere, it's winter. So let's do like a winter theme. Anything winter.
Okay. If you want to be a part of the next critique, go to the link in the description. You can upload the pictures there. Here is the highest rated image on today's unedited photos. And again, this photographer and one other lucky random winner will get a free Fstoppers tutorial. You can check out all the tutorials at fstoppers.com/store.
Very interesting. All right, I think I am ready.
Okay, ready?
Three, two, one.
3 stars.
I went 3.
We agree. I mean, I feel like this is a solid image. It's not blowing my mind, but I think it's good. I think it's good enough to be in your portfolio for sure.
Yeah, I think the lighting is unbelievable. I mean, this is the perfect example of just catching the right time of day to give you a lot of contrast. It's kind of a cliche photo with the little guy in the big world.
I don't know that I agree with that.
You don't think it's a cliche thing happening? I mean, we write articles on Fstoppers every week about this.
No, I mean, I feel like, you know, having people in photographs will never be cliche. That is literally, you know, the subject matter of the majority of photos is people, because people take the pictures. I think the little person in this shot makes this image. It just shows how grand it is.
It definitely helps. Without him, you can't really tell how big this scene is at all. I can definitely see throwing a little bit of filter on this, and you know, there's a lot of those influencer, Instagram, travel, lifestyle photographers out there where this would be a really popular image on their Instagram and might get them jobs. I find it crazy when people get jobs shooting this, but we know so many photographers that are traveling the world for all sorts of brands.
Yeah.
People like banks who just want beautiful pictures on their Instagram.
Yeah.
This is an image that they would love.
One thing that I find really interesting, how do you think they got these, I mean, you know, it's supposed to be unedited, so it just looked like this, but the gradients on these mountains look impossible. That doesn't look possible, but maybe that's just a sandstorm or something, and then the light's hitting it?
Yeah, I mean, the ridge of the mountain could easily be the darkest area, along with the foregrounds on the dunes, just because of the way the sun's hitting, and then either it's lighting atmospheric haze or sand, or the sand's bouncing back just a little bit.
All right, well, let's see what the community says. They say 3 stars. They agree with us exactly. All right, next up.
We have a really smart community.
Yes, we do. Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Easy,
2, we agree.
2.
I mean, I was in between a 1 and a 2 on this one. I gave it a 2 because I think the photographer placed a light behind the ink jar. So something is going on.
There's definitely some thought. If you don't know, a 2 is, you know, it needs work, but there's been some photographic thought put into it.
Yes.
I feel like the camera angle, the lens choice, some lighting, some staging, something's been done to try to get this to work, but I feel like I have no idea what this is even about. You got a wrench, you got some ink. What is the thing on the far right?
I don't know.
It's a little bright out
Ruffins,
here, so.
lube with buffer. I don't know.
I think if you were trying to make this, what, a product shot?
Yeah.
You would want a bottle that looks new. And if you want something that has a lot more atmosphere, I think you'd want to raise the camera and shoot down on it and really show the table and the wrench and kind of get that camera angle where you're like in the midst of it all, you know, like you're really zoomed in on it.
I was thinking go lower and kind of shoot up on the bottle of ink.
I just think the scene's so boring that I think you want to show texture. You want this to look like, what is this, the ad always shows, like Ink and Ivy. I always get these ads on Facebook that are selling like clothes, but they're always in these rustic environments.
Yeah.
I think you want something like that. And if you're trying to sell the ink, which I guess is the product here, it just looks so beat up that it's a hard time to register what that is.
I agree. The community gives it 2.35 stars.
And while it's up there, we're also thinking about if you could edit this to make it look better. I just feel like
there's no hope.
The picture out of your camera should be at such a high level already that the edit just pushes it over to the top and it's a polish where I don't know what you would do with the edit on this.
I agree.
Is that good posture, or what is going on?
I mean, it's more interesting than your average duck pose.
Yep,
Ready?
I believe so.
3, 2, 1. I'm in between a 2 and a 3 on this. I mean, something about it feels direct flashy.
There's a weird light that's coming from the right or straight on.
Yeah, if you look at some of the feathers, you can see a really hard cast shadow.
It's almost like the flash is just above.
Or
Have you seen
to
these
the right,
wildlife photographers, and they set up the flash, but then they have the snoots, and they're like shooting telephoto with a flash from really far away?
Yeah.
I don't know that technique well, but I imagine it looks something like this, where you get this really hard light that's just filling in some shadows. And
Yeah.
it usually looks kind of unnatural.
I just don't like super hard direct flash like this on any photograph, people or ducks. And so it kind of cheapens it to me. I still gave it 3 stars. I feel like, you know, the duck's really pretty, background looks nice, pose looks interesting. So, you know, it's an all right image, but it's not blowing me away.
The interesting thing with wildlife photography is that's one of those genres where I don't think there's a whole lot of post-production to do. You know, you can bring up the shadows, you can kind of do raw adjustments, which, did we say that was allowed in these
So the
images?
rules for this critique were that you could do global, simple adjustments to like white balance and exposure, but you couldn't go in and like dodge and burn certain
So
areas.
while a lot of our readers might be upset that this isn't straight out of camera,
Yeah.
this is kind of the rules that you would have if you were a photojournalist and you wanted to tweak the image, but it's still publishable, it's still showing reality.
Yeah.
But it's not burned into a JPEG straight out of the camera. It's unedited.
I mean, you know, and who knows, this could be shot on JPEG. It's funny, I actually feel like I used to
JPEG.
shoot exclusively JPEG, and I felt like for years I could make the JPEGs look better than I could
Yeah.
the RAWs. So, I don't know.
Oh, you're gonna start some wars out
Oh,
there.
hey, bring it on, bring it on.
Community gave this one a 2.58, so right in between a 2 and a 3.
Okay.
Now, this is a crazy looking image. At first I thought it was infrared. Like it was film, but it clearly can't be, so it must be.
Something about this does not look real at all. This looks like the background has been photoshopped into this.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, this is infrared where the foliage is white, but then the scene has proper color.
I wish I had a higher res file that I could really look at the edges, because, I mean, maybe this is real, but it's just the fact that the foreground is snow and ice and the background looks like it's desert almost.
And the depth of field on this is incredible. I mean, those pine leaves, or the needles, are so close to the camera, and yet the background's so far away that I know with Photographing the World, someone like Elia would bracket this to be able to stack it, you know? Focus stack it. They missed our theme by 1. I mean, I guess this is unedited, but this would have been a good winter.
It's true.
It's so strange, there's no snow just right there either.
I don't know. All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
You gave it a 2?
Yeah, I mean, I find this very interesting, but this does not, like if I saw this on someone's website, if this was the first image on their website, I would not think they were a professional photographer.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
It feels like a snapshot through some trees to me.
I don't like this tree on the left. I would crop past that in some way. And I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to shoot through everything and kind of frame the scene. The light in the middle of the frame is really, really nice. You have this nice atmospheric fog up above. And the fact that we are kind of having to do a double take on the snow and the exposure and what's going on here, I think it's pretty interesting. I just think the composition could be changed a little bit. And maybe even the camera angle, and at that point, maybe you would argue that this isn't properly composed. But I don't think I would look at that image and say, this isn't a photographer who's capable of taking a solid image.
Hold on, I don't want to, don't put those words into my mouth. I'm not saying they're not capable of taking good photo. I'm saying if I had to judge this photographer based on this image alone, I'm going to guess that they're not a professional photographer. They don't do this for a living. And I'm probably right, just because the majority of people doing the critiques aren't full-time professional
Most people taking
photographers.
photographs are not professional
Sure,
photographers.
sure. But that is my first impression of this, and you know, I'm sure many people disagree with me.
In terms of a solid, unedited picture out of camera, though, I mean, that's pretty. The exposure and everything is like, the information is there. Whether or not you like the composition or you like the subject matter.
Well, that's the thing. Something about this doesn't feel real at all. And now that you say that, I'm starting to look at the lighting on this. And how is the lighting on the foreground so flat and soft and even, and then there's hard light on the mountain in the background? Like, it just doesn't seem possible.
I think that happens when you're in a forest and like you're in the mountains, and weird things happen in these environments.
Weird thing. How can there be a correct exposure in the shade of the trees, and then you can still see information on an almost white rock in the background that's getting hit by direct sun? Something fishy's going on.
I think it's just that if these were normal trees, you're right, they would be turned black. But because they're covered in snow, they have a higher exposure. And then in Lightroom, if you just bring up the highlights and whites, maybe, I think you could do it.
I think we're getting bamboozled here. I think this has been edited. Let us know in the comments. Show us what it really, really looked like. I'm curious to see. Community gives it 2.73.
So to have edited this and still get a rating by Lee as of a 2, you have failed.
That's not good. Hey, community likes it a little better than me, though. That's interesting. Okay. 3, 2, 1. We switch.
Jinx.
So, I'm torn on this image. This is very interesting. I feel like potentially you could make this more timeless by making it black and white. And I tend to prefer black and white images when there is direct, hard sunlight on the subject. I don't know why that is. I just feel like hard shadows on subjects look better in black and white. And all of these wildebeest or whatever the heck animals these are lit almost exactly from the angle of this camera and the hot air balloon. And you can see these little shadows behind them, and just like, it bums me out, but at the same time, the image wouldn't be possible without the light coming from that, because you wouldn't see the balloon otherwise. So, you know, it's like, I don't like the lighting, but you have to have the lighting.
I don't mind that the balloon is casting a shadow in the scene.
Well, that's the whole point of the image, so.
Right. It just feels like this was like the best opportunity when you're in a hot air balloon and you had a camera, and like it's like when you take the plane up into Denali and you just don't really get the shot that you want.
Yeah.
But you might as well do something while you're up there.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the best attempt at that, but that doesn't necessarily mean by any means that you should put that in your portfolio. I would love to see this image, even with the shadow in the frame, just shot lower to where you see the horizon, or I don't know. I just feel like there's not enough interesting subject matter going on with all the animals. It's fairly interesting because it's an exotic thing. We don't see this every day, but it's not like a shot where you're like, whoa, that's incredible. It just feels like they're trying to make the best out of the situation they were given, and it is an interesting idea, but I don't think this would belong in your portfolio.
What do you think about a vertical crop where the balloon is centered in the shot?
Maybe that would be more interesting. I was even thinking, could you crop it in a way, maybe if you got rid of the bottom of the balloon, it would look like a mistake. But this is such a weird shape. If you cropped in tighter, maybe it would look like an alien ship. Or
No, you got to see the whole balloon. That's a horrible idea. Don't listen to Patrick on that.
I'm just trying to throw ideas out there.
Horrific idea. Community gives it 2.1. They agree with you.
Are you getting bit by
I
something?
am, right in the ankles. I don't
Yeah.
know what type of animal, Puerto Rican bug is out here, but it's like
Need to get some spray.
they're only getting my ankles.
Should David have changed the video to black and white now that we're being lit by hard light?
Well, it's not. It's hard light, but it's directional light. So I'm hoping, we have the camera, we're filming this by ourselves, David's not here. So I'm hoping that the camera in auto mode has the correct exposure. We have these nice cast shadows.
Before I throw a rating on here, I might say I like this image the most
Okay.
of anything that we've seen.
Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
3, 2, 1, 3. I agree with you.
This to me is like kind of a high-ish 3 if we do
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
I'm in between this one and the very first one as my favorite, but this one's very interesting. It tells a story, as you like to say.
I would have loved to have seen this image in our street photography critique.
Yeah.
The way that this is shot, it gives you the appearance that the photographer is not in control of this kid, and that this was taken in a candid sort of way. I like kind of the symmetry that's going on. I don't even know if there's a whole lot I would do in post-production. I think I like this cable running through. It gives it some contrast. And the kid's, he's not doing the most exciting pose or giving the most exciting expression, but
I mean, it's exactly what you need, though.
yeah.
You don't want him, making a funny face, then it destroys the vibe of the image.
Right. Maybe, and I don't know if, I'd have to see this, but maybe you could pull the corners and straighten the lines a little bit more and make the image a little more straight. I don't think it's going to change any of the vibe of the photograph.
It looks straight to me.
You're talking about this window is like curving in.
Which one? I'm looking at the outside lines.
Then maybe I'm taking the top left and pulling it down. Something about this just looks like, I think it's this line here. Maybe it's off by like just a few degrees. The vertical window on the left looks off to me by like 2 or 3 degrees.
All right.
It looks like the camera's tilted up a little bit and there's just a slight keystoning. If I did that edit, I don't think it would change anything major with the photograph. It would just tighten it up just the littlest bit. It's not going to change a rating.
Well, the community gives it 2.5, so they don't like it as much as we do. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so, I was thinking about giving this a 4. I feel like it's a 4 within this genre of unedited photos. This is the best, most polished.
Okay, I was gonna say this could be a 3 or a 4 within like pet photography is your genre. If you shoot
sure.
Pets,
yeah.
This would be a solid or beyond solid image.
Okay, maybe I would even agree with that within the realm of pet photography because that's not the highest standard usually for photography.
No, but we've had pet photographer writers on our website, and they write articles and make a living shooting pets. And if you shoot pets, you got to come up with interesting concepts. And if that's studio lighting, or if that's wide angle shots, if it's putting them in really beautiful scenes and doing something over and beyond just taking a picture of your friends and clients' dogs, this is a solid, great image. Like, I think, as you said, the lighting and the exposure straight out of camera is about as good as you can get for something like this. I don't see any technical problems. I feel like the composition's really interesting. I like the purple color. It's something you don't see every day.
Okay.
And he's given a good expression for a dog.
He's given a pretty good expression. I've certainly seen dog photos with more expression. If you can remember, was it the last critique you gave me the dog dressed up as humans book?
If you saw this dog straight on, I think that he's giving about the same expression as those dogs.
Okay. Well, it's good. It's in between a 3 and a 4 to me. Community gives it 2.78.
Gosh, our community's rough.
They are rough. They are rough.
All right.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. Incredible job capturing the fire, and great job capturing the fire and getting a correct exposure on, a fairly correct exposure on the subjects as well. I have never photographed a fire breather, but I assume that the exposure on the fire is extremely bright compared to the scene. So I don't know how they captured this.
This makes me feel really suspicious that this was shot all in camera with no editing, unless you just, and I don't know why you really would do that unless you were trying to like submit something to our critique.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the way you would tackle this photograph.
Well, it
You would just
could be.
pound the scene with light.
Well, okay, so there's obviously a light, a blue-ish light, hitting the girl and hitting the guy in the back. Do you think that's window or door light, or do you think that's a strobe?
It's a strobe for certain.
Okay, well, if it's a strobe, then this could be done in camera.
I just wonder, I see this picture, and we had this buddy we used to work with years ago named, you remember Chase?
Mm-hmm.
And Chase learned to breathe fire like this, and he took this picture over and over and over again. And I guess in my mind, I'm just thinking this isn't a very marketable image. Like, you're not going to get hired very often doing this. And when I think of the pictures that I took when I first picked up a camera, or my friends like Chase who picked up a camera, this is just kind of a cliche, let's capture fire breathing because I learned this one little party trick.
Right.
And so I don't really find a lot of value in this picture as a whole. Everyone online is probably going to disagree with me. But if you have to shoot at your highest sync speed at 2/50th of a second, I might think that fire is not going to be that sharp, and that contrast is unbelievable. So I'm very suspicious that this was all shot in camera at 1/250th of a second, even with strobe light, and you get something that looks that good. But all of that aside, I'm just like, I don't get this genre of like the pole dancer girl or the burlesque thing with the fire. Like, maybe if you did a very high production and it looked like a carnival for like Cirque du Soleil in Vegas, we'd be like, that's badass. But when I see this, I'm just kind of like, I've seen this picture dozens of times, and I find it suspect that this was really, I'm a little suspicious that this was taken all.
Yeah, I'm curious now, what would standard camera settings be to shoot fire breathing?
It's not going to be natural light because you're going to need such a long shutter, you're not going to get that to freeze that way. So it has to be a fast shutter, or it's lit with strobe. And the fastest shutter you can get with strobe, for the most part, the typical camera is going to be 1/250th. I don't know. I would love to see if somebody else has any fire breathing experience. Can you freeze action like that at 2/50th of a second?
Yeah, or just the person who took the photo, let us know how you took it. Write in the comments on Fstoppers what your camera settings were, what you did for lighting. I'm interested. And here's the community rating. All right, next up.
Dude, these bugs, man.
Yeah, I just got bit by like two
I don't
ants
see
at once.
anything.
I saw an ant.
I've seen ants, but the ants aren't crawling up my leg biting me. So I don't know what they are. It's like the no-see-ums of Puerto Rico.
And they only like ankles.
All right. What do you think that is? It almost looks like a garage door, but it's too big for a garage door.
It could be a really big garage door.
It's
got
got
to be a garage door. All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. I mean, this is pretty easy to me.
I feel like this picture has so much potential.
I was going to say the same thing.
I love what's going on here. There's just some people that are kind of ruining this.
Yes.
And if it's street photography or candid photography, you'd say, well, you can't control everybody. But if you are doing some kind of social commentary, or you're trying to make some really clever ad, maybe you have one guy dressed completely differently, or you're trying to do like a Old Spice ad, or something that's like a clever take on this, I think there's a lot of potential in this image. And I love the hard lighting. This is a great example of directional hard light that looks, maybe it is natural. It probably is.
It looks like sunlight.
Sunlight. But if not, they've done a really good job of exposing the entire scene with a single strobe.
I agree. Love the concept. Just don't love all the people in the shot, and some of the posing and some of the clothing and everything kind of ruins it for me. Community gives it right at 2 stars.
See, I like the clothing. I think that's what makes this look so interesting. It's really this guy with like his hands in the what's this position? The like I'm having sex position.
I'm gonna leave that to you, Patrick. All right, let's move on. Is that? Oh, he's in front of a Coke vending machine.
Is that the vending machine?
Yeah, you can see the
edge of it?
Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty interesting from an exposure standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree. Cool concept. Feels very much like a high school or college project, Take a picture with uplighting. take a picture with different white balance.
This image instantly makes me think of Strobist. I remember David Hobby, when I read that website, he was always showing you how to add a flashlight and make the computer screen look like, you know, it was lighting you. And while they're all incredible tips that you should go to that website, you should read every page of Strobist, you got to put it into practice in a way that makes an image, you know, really shine. And I feel like this feels more like a test shot.
Yeah.
I was trying to zoom in to where you really are super tight on the headshot and make kind of the Coke vending machine like the absolute edges of the frame instead of showing all this black space. And maybe there's a little bit more potential there. It almost kind of has like movie poster lighting. I know you did like an image of yourself, a self-portrait, where you tried to emulate the Star Trek lighting.
Yeah.
There's something in there that's cool.
It's just not polished in any way. It's just, let's just put a blue light under my nose, you know?
It's not polished from a lighting standpoint.
But it's not polished from a subject matter standpoint either. Like, I would just imagine this is the photographer. I don't imagine the photographer went out and hired this model.
Right. And that's why it all kind of feels like a test shot. But what do you think is causing this? I don't see a line where the reflection would be.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
Because that's a really cool effect. And I like this technique of having some big light source in the back, and then this is a really neat technique. And I think this photographer should really explore this more. But it's tough to say it's not polished enough because we're telling people these are unedited pictures.
Hold on.
It's not polished from a production standpoint.
Right. I'm not saying that it needs Photoshop. All right, community gives it 2.32. And next up.
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. I feel like this is a good image for, you know, children's baby photography or whatever. I'm not blown away by it. I just feel like it's not super polished in terms of the set design and everything, and, you know, the sloppy looking diaper and everything. It's just not, I've seen baby photography that's just incredible. This is not that, but I've also seen many baby photographers that make a lot of money doing stuff just like this, so I give it 3 stars.
I am going to agree with some of what you say. I think this is styled really, really well. I agree with the diaper, but I could see this image with a little bit of Photoshop, a little filter. You could even go in there and start liquefying the diaper to tighten it up, and I could see this image having a huge commercial value to it. I would love to see the baby smiling or laughing.
And the dog not to be obese and look like it's snarling.
I think the dog's fine.
The dog looks like it's dead and stuffed.
I think you give this image a little filter that gives it a more open, it opens up the shadows, it desaturates a little bit, and you have that baby smiling or laughing, and I think you could have an ad for the diapers, you could have an ad for all kinds of apps and websites and companies that, you know, need images of babies. And I mean, it almost could be like Wayfair or something, you know? Maybe the rug.
Almost.
I really like it. I think from straight out of a camera with very little editing, it's pretty close. I just think, like you said, the diaper should have been tightened a little bit more. To get the dog to sit that way.
So I've cropped past the legs in the diaper, and I'm just showing the baby's head and the dog's head and everything. I feel like this might be a stronger composition, but the dog looks like he's dying of depression and sorrow. Like the dog is like, kill me now. I can't believe this is what my life has become.
If you took the liquefy tool and just bent up his mouth just a touch, it would change. You laugh, but like, this is what commercial photographers are doing.
Yeah, I know.
They're like, we got a better dog head and we're gonna put the dog head on there. And
yeah, this dog head, he does not look happy. So, I don't know, it's a decent shot.
If you took 50 images though from this session with the camera pointed down and you got that diaper a little tighter and you got a better expression
You're
of the baby.
obsessed with the tight diaper.
I just think it does look a little raggedy.
Okay.
I think you could make that a 4 image.
Okay, well, the community says 1.86.
They're wrong. They're wrong. David loves putting lions in our critique the community.
He is a lion guy. Now, if I saw this any other time, I would say those snowflakes are fake.
Yep.
Like, why the heck would a lion be anywhere near snow?
Interesting point.
So I don't know what's going on.
It's a snow lion.
It's like a screenshot from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe or something that's not real at all. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if that's really a lion sitting in snow or there's something. I don't know.
He's at a foam party. There's like foam blowing everywhere, and he's like in Vegas.
3, 2, 1. I'm in between a 2 and a 3. I feel
I
like
really like this photo, but
Yeah.
I can't say it belongs in your portfolio simply because you got to crop past that big white thing in the bottom. His texture and expression looks so awesome.
yeah.
I will give this a 3, a solid 3, if you just cropped in past the white part.
Okay.
And then you go into Photoshop and you give it a look. I love using alien skin. You add a little sharpening. You add just a little polish that gives a little like contrast in the colors.
What's weird?
And this is a really cool photo.
This looks like it's color graded already, doesn't it?
It does.
It seems like
They've
this.
desaturated it or something.
Yeah. How much editing did you do on this
Well,
photo?
you said you could pull down the saturation. That's part of the Lightroom tools.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I'd like to see it sharpened just a touch, and like in many cases, especially with alien skin, and this video is not an ad for alien skin, but
You shill.
you can go through a lot of these settings and it will apply different tonalities that you would never think, and suddenly you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I agree.
This photo suddenly takes a different turn and it has a look that I really love. I think it'd be worth trying some of those once you've captured the perfect image out of the camera.
Let us know how you took this picture, and is a lion really sitting in snow? I don't understand how that works. Community gives it 2.56. So I just realized we forgot to pick a random winner. You want to just say the next photograph is the random winner of another tutorial.
Yeah, I don't even know what number we're on.
Okay,
we're
I don't
probably
either.
towards the end of this critique.
I don't either. Okay, this is the winning image.
So this person gets to choose a tutorial out of our store,
Yep.
fstoppers.com/store. Ooh. All right.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. This is my favorite image so far.
Best image. I'm glad. How crazy is it that we said next image wins, and it's like what I think is probably the best image of this critique as well.
Yeah, I really like this. I feel like it's even better knowing that this is straight out of camera. I mean, the fact that you were able to get this ram or whatever it is right on the top of this hill, that is very lucky. Right in the middle of the road, right at the top.
His feet aren't getting cut off by the road. And
right. It seems too good to be true. And then the sky looks incredible. You got the light rays on the left side.
Oh, I know, the contrast, like it's getting close to where I'm a little skeptical that your camera captured all of this tonality. But we've been in situations where the background looks like that. It's just so rare that all of that comes together in one moment.
Yeah.
Usually as a photographer, you're creating moments or you're editing moments. And then I keep looking at this thinking, all right, you dodge. I don't even know if you have to dodge or dodge the foreground, but you start tweaking a little bit of the tonality in Photoshop. And now you definitely have a 4-star image. But for something straight out of camera, no doubt that's a 4-star. I mean, that's really, really cool. And then I wonder what the other images in the series look like. Did he capture the next shot where he looks up and then he runs away?
That's true.
When the car comes,
That's true. Community does not agree. They give it 2.84. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We agree.
Not enough nudity.
That's true.
It would instantly be a 3.
I just feel like your lighting source probably isn't quite big enough for this image. And you know, I've seen lots of
that. Why do you think it's not large enough?
So I'm just seeing a hot spot right on like the side of her body, and then it's falling off so quickly, and it's hard to see any other part of her body. And I would just like to see a little bit softer light, maybe larger light source, a little bit closer. I've seen lots of black and white bodyscape images before. Many of them are absolutely incredible, so don't think that I'm just hating on this genre. I just don't think this is the most technical version of this type of photograph.
Yeah, and there's a lot of little things that are accentuated by the light that just, I don't think are the most pleasing. Like the way her face and ears show up with her hand, it just,
Yeah.
it doesn't scream elegance and sexy. And I don't mean sexy in like, you know, your audience wants to have sex with this person. I just mean it doesn't have that like classy nude, what did you call this, bodyscape?
Yeah.
I think a great bodyscape photographer would find a way to tweak the upper hand. And then like the way her feet are lit and stuff, it's, maybe you're right, like the light source just it needs to be a little bit larger. I don't know what else to really say. It's just not something that I would put on my website.
I agree. Community agrees at 2.3 stars.
Oh, have you seen this image?
I have seen this image.
Okay.
We, in case you guys have no idea what image this is a very famous image by Peter Lick, who's apparently the world's most successful landscape photographer. We did an entire video on like, how fake is this image? Like, this cannot be real in any way.
So you're overqualified to even do this critique right now.
So, somebody uploaded this as a joke, obviously, because this is
Or David is
super
trolling us by adding.
No, I saw somebody upload this
Okay.
to the critique. I thought it was
And
hilarious.
now they're being sued by Peter Lick.
Exactly. So this photograph is obviously Photoshopped. This is like the definition of Photoshopped. And if you want to see our entire debate, go to the link in the description of this YouTube video. David will post us talking about this for like 30 minutes or an hour, just talking about this one image. So.
You want to rate the photo? Like, do you like this photograph?
I mean, I like the image okay for like a fairy tale type fake image. I think it's done really, really well.
The interesting thing about this photograph is, and I don't want to get into it all, but like, if you aren't a photographer and you just like pretty images and you're an art collector or you like Peter Lick's work, do you feel like knowing that this is fake like changes that dynamic?
Yes.
As a photographer, I have a hard time looking at this and taking this seriously. But if you don't know anything about photography and you just like the mood that it gives you, you might absolutely love this picture and never once think about, oh, the mood.
Oh, I don't know. I disagree. I would imagine that at least some people who have purchased this image assume that it's real. They would have never bought it if they knew this was a Photoshop mashup.
I think most people that bought this image probably don't know that.
They assume it's real.
They assume it's real.
Right.
It's a really pretty location.
You wouldn't-
Oh my gosh, Peter Lick is an amazing photographer, which he is, but
You wouldn't spend tens of thousands of dollars on fake landscape photography. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, we can go down this path of a million years, but let's move on to the next one.
a million years.
A million years down the road,
long time.
we'll still be debating the Peter Lick fake moonshot.
Oh, we get a lot of wildlife photography in this.
So, how do you think they captured the wings so clearly? Do you think this is strobed, or do you think they were just shooting at like an 8,000th of a second or something?
Yeah, I think it's just...
Because I've seen a lot of really good hummingbird photos, and
Even then, the wings are
the
blurry.
wings are blurry. Yeah, this is the sharpest wings I've ever seen.
I mean, if they strobed it, it's strobed with such a soft light off
Yeah.
camera in a subtle way that it doesn't... I don't think it's strobed.
Now, take a look at its eye. It kind of looks like some sort of strobe light. Maybe that's just the sky reflecting in its eye, but it does kind of look like a soft lighter or something.
It almost looks like a flash disc to me.
That would be incredible if you could catch a hummingbird with a flash disc. But who knows? You know, there's probably a feeder 2 inches to the left of this frame.
Yeah.
But still, it's well done. But
Yeah.
are you ready?
I am.
3, 2, 1.
2?
I went 2, you went 3.
I think with a little tweaking and maybe like levels, bring it up, make it a little brighter and make it pop a little bit more. It would be just strong enough to go in your portfolio. And maybe it's already cropped. It's this square format, but maybe there's something different with the crop. I just think the colors look nice, and I have a hard time critiquing wildlife photography in general. The fact that you said you've never really seen the hummingbirds with the wings frozen, I'm sure it's not a rarity. I'm sure any capable photographer who shoots this genre could do that easily, but because of that, it's a good photo. It's a solid image.
Yeah, maybe I should give it a 3. That brown bar directly behind the hummingbird kind of bums me out a little bit when I can see all these beautiful flowers around it, you know. I do think with just a little bit of Photoshop, you could really enhance this and make the bird pop off the background a little bit more. Maybe add a little, like recover the shadows and then add a little bit of vibrance to the bird feathers. But I think it's done well, and like I said, great job capturing those wings. Community gives it 2.78, so it's one of the highest rated images by the community. Are you ready?
Are you ready? What is that from?
Like a WWF or something? Let's get ready to rumble. I don't know. 3, 2, 1. I went 3, you went 2. I'm in between a 2 and a 3 on this one. I feel like the lighting's great. I feel like the dude looks good. The lady, she looks uncomfortable. The pose, like she needs to sit up a little bit straighter, and then her facial expression is like she's not having a good time.
And that is so key with wedding photos.
It's all about the bride. It's all about the bride. Then, what do you think about the crop? The crop's a little strange. Like I'm all about not putting things in the middle of the frame, but it feels like that dead spot on the right is just a little much, and I'd probably crop past that weird corner of the wall and put them more in the center of the frame because it's 2 people here, but that's just me.
Yeah, you're almost putting each person on, like, if you were to divide this into the rule of thirds, each person's like on 1/3 and 1/3. But overall, the shot's kind of centered. I would have been really curious to see, and who knows if this is natural light or if this is a big softbox, but if it's lit with strobe, it probably isn't, but if it was, if you could drag the shutter and blow out the background more and still keep the same exposure on them, obviously if they're lit with natural light, that's going to blow them out as well. But I just feel like the background's super distracting with like all of the, especially on the left side, there's like some really unnatural
squiggly lines.
It just looks like there's advertisements or some kind of graphic design or something back there. I love the guy. You can't put a picture of a girl this unhappy dressed in a wedding dress.
Who's unhappier, this girl or the dog with the baby?
We should put those images side by side and see. I don't know. I feel like I say she should be thrilled. She's getting photos taken in her wedding dress with the guy that she loves.
Okay, hold on.
There's no reason not to be happy in that
I
moment.
do want to say.
The dog is tired of that baby's shit.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively.
I do want to say that I have seen and I have taken a million pictures with brides that are not smiling.
Yeah.
And they look timeless, and that's probably what's going on here. But the fact that he's smiling and then she's not, and it doesn't just appear that she's not smiling.
This is Peter Hurley's like deer in the headlights. Like, look, she is like caught.
Or she's even scowling. Like it's not the serious, timeless portrait look. This is a I'm unhappy, I don't want to be here look. And so those are 2 different things. So I don't want.
And she might not even be unhappy. It's just that's the split second the photographer captured.
That's her resting bitch face.
And if you have a resting bitch face, you need to learn to like have her look at her husband. Or sometimes people don't have good smiles. You've dealt with this before, and you're like, your smile, either you have bad teeth or your smile is so big that you're like, that doesn't look great either.
Yeah.
She's a very pretty girl. I'm not saying that at all, that she has this problem. But to improve this picture, you would have her look down or have her look at her husband or do something to try to make that emotional connection without trying to make her smile if the smile's not good.
Community gives it 2.25.
Great composition, though. I like how they placed everybody and everything. What in the world is going on here? This is like the back plate from a movie poster.
Yeah, it's like Aliens 5 or something.
What? Where is this? It's got to be in Asia, right? Does any shape like that exist anywhere else in the world?
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
I don't want to give us a 2.
I don't either. I feel like this is super interesting, but as it stands by itself, it's just not, it doesn't feel like a complete image that should be in your portfolio. But for a background plate of a movie or something, or like a book cover, this would be amazing.
Gosh, if you had like 3 or 4 characters lit cool and you composite them on top, and I know everyone's gonna be like, this isn't about compositing, but this could definitely be sold and used. We keep going back to the movie poster motif, but I feel like that's where this really could be used.
Yeah.
There's something really interesting, and maybe if you crop in just tighter and make the 3 figures more part of the image,
Now,
or you put a human there.
That's what I was gonna say.
Backlit.
This is what you said was cliche at the very beginning.
Small person in a big scene. If you could you get a guy pose. I don't know. There's a lot you could do here that I think would be cool.
It's like Laura Croft is like going in there. Indiana Jones is walking into the crease of light. Yeah, that would be awesome. Community gives it 2.71, so Community likes it better than us.
This photo reminds me of the ad that Paul C. Buff did for the Alien B lights. I think it was the Einstein lights, where somebody did portraits of women, I guess in white nightgowns, but they had milk and they had these wings, and it's like everything's frozen so perfectly.
Yeah. Those were better than this.
This guy's really not happy with this book.
No, he's not. He's not. So in a critique a year or 2 ago, Mike Kelly, he said something about simulated rage or something, like photographers love this genre.
Is it simulated sadness? Or?
That and like rage. It's like, the daggers in the heart, or like, I got the blood on the hands,
I call it like, it's like deviant art.
Yeah, deviant art, model mayhem, like they love it, they love it. So this is kind of like that. You want to rate this?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. I went 3, you went 2. I mean, I feel like this is incredibly well done, but like white guys yelling at things in photographs, like I just can't get behind this genre of photography.
I agree. I think from straight out of a camera, unedited photograph, I mean, this is like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
If that's truly unedited, that is photographed better than a lot of commercial images that are composited and this is beyond what you need to do. So props for being able to pull that off in a single exposure. That's definitely not an easy task. But it's also, I think you mentioned this a lot, it's very easy to say, because I got it perfectly right in camera and it was difficult to do, somehow it has more value. And sometimes there's some truth to that. But in many cases, if you overlook what's going on in the photograph and you value it because it was difficult to take, it still doesn't belong in your portfolio simply because of that fact.
So imagine if you put a professional model, and then let's just say female because that's the easy thing to do. You put a good-looking fashion model in this, you dress her well, her hair's on point, and instead of screaming at the book, she's just looking at it. Maybe hair's blowing in the wind or something. I just feel like this could be incredible. But the guy in the tank top who's yelling at a book for no reason, like it's the subject matter and it's the story, as you like to say, behind the photo. It's just not working for me personally.
Yeah, if you cast a different model and you had him in some kind of like period clothing and you went all out on it.
Right. And it could be him. He's a good looking dude. He looks better than me. But it's just, it doesn't feel like this was styled at all. It seems like the concept is the book and the smoke and all this, and then it's like, oh shit, we got to get somebody in there, and it's like the photographer's like, let me just do it.
Yeah, and it feels. Does it feel a little test shotty to you? Like,
yes, it feels like I'm in here before we got the professional model in here.
I mean, you make this guy a football player, you take the book out, and you do the same effect, but he's now clapping the powder and the chalk, and it's something about like sports, or it's
or the football's on fire or something, and
yeah, or it's a uneven bars gymnast, you know,
Yeah.
and she's getting ready. Like, there's so many things you can do to make a really commercial viable studio lit image like this, but the way that it is, it's just kind of like, what does it even mean that he's slamming a book and there's smoke and water coming out of it?
That being said, we don't know the use of this image, and you know, this could be used for some sort of editorial story that would make total sense with a title and a copy below it.
Yeah, it's like, are millennials tired of paying outrageous prices for textbooks
There you go.
that are old?
There you go.
Boom, I just sold that image for you.
Community gives it 2.73, so this is one of the highest rated images. What did you give this?
I gave it a 2.
Whoa, Patrick,
I gave it a 2
you're out of
because
line.
I don't know that the image, I don't understand the image. Technically, it's a 3 or a 4 if you're just gonna go on like how it was shot out of camera.
All right, next up. Again, another photo that could have been in last week's street photography critique. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars, we agree. I feel like this is a solid image. I kind of hate the fact that they've cropped off the bottom of
Yep.
people's shoes in this kid's hand.
Especially because they seem like they're soldiers, and like the outfit and uniform is such a big part of that vibe.
Yeah, that seems
Just
like
to
a
have the
mistake.
feet in the road would have been nice to have in there.
And then, you know, the kid with the phone, like that kind of pulls me out of the shot a little bit.
I
But
didn't even notice the phone.
I feel like the expression on the other kids, and I love this third kid on the right looking back at the other ones, I feel like that really pulls the image together.
I like this image a lot. This has just so much emotion, and it just tells like a complete story.
What's the whole story? Beginning, middle, and end. Tell it right now.
You know, the youthfulness has like an eagerness to be excited and playful, where as you get older and you get locked into the regiment of, you know, society.
Beginning, middle,
and
and
end.
end.
It tells a full story.
No. What's the beginning of the story?
Man, I don't know. They don't want to. We'll let the community decide. I don't want to spell out. If you have to spell out the story,
But you said this tells a complete story.
it does for me, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
I want you to tell everyone the complete story. Not gonna happen, you're full of shit. Community gives it 2.59.
I'd go into it more if I wasn't getting eaten alive out of it.
All right, yeah, the sun has set. We're losing our sunlight. Hopefully you guys can still see us. Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Would you give it 3? 3? I like it. I feel like the lighting on this is great.
Yeah.
I wish I could see the ear of the mouse. It kind of bums me out that, like, you know, it's blocking a key part of his facial features, but I feel like the lighting on this is so good, and he looks kind of like he's looking at the camera in this happy way, that I feel like this is actually a really well done image that could be used in a lot of different ways.
I guess that's the problem I'm having. Tell me the ways that this image can be used. Like, it's a beautiful photograph. It's lit well. It captures a real. I mean, it's crazy that thing could even climb up. What is this, like wheat?
Yeah.
What is the use of this image?
I don't know. I mean, what's the use of any animal image? I just feel like this could be used for an ad for wheat. This could be used for PETA. We love animals. This could be used for come visit our town. We are homey and we have farm animals here.
I just feel like all those examples are weird.
Okay.
You don't want mice in your wheat. PETA, like, come on, this isn't. What does PETA have a problem with this? I don't know. It's again a pretty photograph. It feels like it belongs in like a Nature or a scientific magazine or something like that, where this is the lifestyle of the mouse. But I'm just left saying, like, I don't know what you take from this.
It's a mouse lifestyle image. The community gives it 2.54. And that
This is the final photograph.
wraps up this entire critique. Do you have any closing remarks?
I really like this. I thought this was an interesting critique that's something different than what we've done.
Yeah.
It shows, one, how great of a photograph you can get straight out of camera.
Yes.
It also shows, two, how bad a photo can look straight out of camera too.
Yes.
And I think what I'm really interested about is there's some images that we were suspicious about if they were done all on camera.
Yes.
And our community loves to call us out when somebody sneaks a rendered file in there or has something that's, you know, not even their picture and it's a famous image and we don't know about it. So I'm curious to see what they think about some of these images that we were suspicious about as well.
All right, guys. Well, like I said at the beginning, if you'd like to be a part of the next critique, go ahead, click on the link in the description. You can upload your winter or cold photos right now. We will see you next week.